I've always wanted to be in those leadership roles. I feel like that's probably one of my number one things is I want to have a really good influence on other people, and I want to give off those qualities that other people want to be around. And um, whether I've got the C on my chest being named a captain or not, I'm still going to act the same way. But it's nice to be recognized as a captain and be able to lead our team and just really help the guys whenever they need some guidance.
Awesome. Welcome back, everybody, to another edition of Coffee with Hats. I'm your host, Mark Mashad Jr. This week, we're going to sit down with senior captain and outfielder Andrew MacNeil from Gainesville, Florida. This week, we're going to talk about preparation, his ability to focus, and the art of getting hit by a pitch. And let me tell you, if you're going to learn about prioritization and focus from somebody, Andrew's the guy you want to talk to. He's a molecular biology major, and he is one of the most solid and consistent people I've been around. So let's get right to it on this week's edition of Coffee with Hats with senior captain Andrew MacNeil.
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having me.
Now, what are we drinking this morning?
Just a nice cup of coffee, just brewed from home. Got a good gorilla mug.
Nice.
The hand is the handle. So
That is perfect. Excellent. Um, is that a favorite mug?
oh yeah, it's definitely up there. Add some
Awesome.
character, you know.
You never know what you're gonna get from this guy. So, all right. Well, we got you here, Andrew. So let's let's kind of move on and let's talk a little bit about the background. Let us know what life was like for you, Andrew, growing up in Gainesville, and what you were doing back as a kid.
Yeah, I love Gainesville. I think it's an awesome place, and I'm really blessed to have grown up there. Grew up with my mom, my dad, and my sister, and uh, love my family. Very supportive in everything I've done, and I just feel like I learned a lot in my childhood, and it's allowed me to succeed in what I'm doing today.
Sure. Now, were you multi-sport, playing a lot of sports? Did you do anything besides sports as a young, as growing up, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I played pretty much everything, like pretty much any athlete would probably tell you. I played soccer, baseball, basketball, football, pretty much up through middle school, and then that's kind of when I started to zero in on baseball. Just kind of fell in love with the game, and I thought I had a really good chance to go far in it, and so I started dedicating my time towards that. And then, I mean, it was pretty much just sports in school.
Mm-hmm.
I've Sports is such a huge part of my life, both playing and then also just in my free time. I love watching just about anything there is. So I'm a huge sports fan.
Great. So when you were growing up, college, did you like watching college athletics? Did you like watching professional sports? Who were your favorite athletes?
Yeah, definitely a college sports guy.
Uh,
Uh, I mean, being in Gainesville, it's kind of hard not to be focused on the University of Florida. So
right.
you ask any of the guys, they'll tell you I'm a still a huge Gator fan. I mean, Gator football, Gator basketball, I'm there. Um, so I mean, Tim Tebow is going to be at the top of that list. I mean, he's such an awesome guy, such an awesome role model, and I feel like you can just learn so much sports and just about how to act and good
Yeah.
character from him. So I'd say he's definitely probably one of my favorite athletes of all time.
I've always had, I've always just wondered why like people were so against him. All he's ever done is win and win with class.
Yes.
And it's just one of those things I just have never understood.
Yeah, there's not much you can dislike about the guy, and it could be a jealousy thing because he's got just about everything going for him. So
Have you followed his baseball stuff at all?
I have, and
So
it's kind.
let me ask you this: do you think he'll make, like, if baseball play, if we play baseball again this year, or hopefully moving forward next year or whenever, do you think, in what you've followed, you think he's gonna make it to the MLB?
It's a tough question. I would have a hard time betting against the guy. I mean,
Yeah.
he's succeeded in just about anything he's done. I mean, he won 2 national championships, won a Heisman, he won a playoff game in the NFL, and now he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go play some baseball," which I haven't done since high school. So, I mean,
And he's
like,
grinding it out.
yeah, he is.
He
I
is
mean,
grinding it
he's
out. You would be like kind of, Michael Jordan. He had a stint, was there for a couple years, bang, went back to basketball. But Tebow is grinding this thing out, and it's fun to see.
yeah, yeah, he's a different breed. I mean, I'm pulling for him, I'll tell you that. I hope he makes it.
Me too. All right, so let's move away from Tim Tebow. Move on to back to Andrew MacNeil. Andrew, let's talk about excuse me, I can't even say it. Molecular biology. Um, how did that become something that was an interest for you? That's your major. You're excelling in it. You're looking to go into pre-med, from everything that I can remember. And you're one of those people that you're going after it. You're going to make it happen. Um, and I have all the confidence in the world that's going to happen with you. So talk to us about how you, because most kids are like, oh, hey, I want to grow up and be something. And then everybody kind of says, oh, I want to be a doctor, Well, you actually are going to potentially move on and do that. You've set yourself up in that position. So talk to us about how that comes about, and what it's been like for you going into that as a major.
Right, yeah, I would say growing up, I've always been pretty interested in the sciences and then, like, in the human body and just, like, how incredible it is, and it's just such a well-oiled machine. But and then my dad's a dentist and my mom works in dental hygiene, and so you've got a little bit of a health professions background there, and so it's kind of encouraged my interest, and I feel like academically I recognize my potential, and fi- just it just it's always been my dream to grow up and be a physician. So going into Stetson, I declared as a biology major, which is just a little bit more broad with the different biology courses. And then going into my senior year, I needed. It was actually going into the spring of my last semester of undergrad. I needed one more bio class to graduate, and the only one I wanted to take was molecular bio. And by taking it, I could be a molecular bio major. So I shifted my major to that just because of that one class. But yeah, I mean, I'm very intrigued by biology, and I've definitely enjoyed being that kind of major.
Did you ever have a moment, like, in this thing, where you go into biology and then you're talking about going into pre-med? There's always, there's barriers, right? There's things like you're going into, and then it's like, oh, I gotta take this test. You gotta pass this class. You have to get a certain grade in this class. You see there's those things that kind of are gatekeepers, where you have to work through something challenging to get to the next level. How have you kept pushing yourself through those, quote unquote, like, people who don't make it, they'd be called barriers. People who do make it, they're called stepping stones, right? Um,
Mm.
what's been your mentality going through each one of those phases?
Yeah, so far, I would say the most of the barriers you're talking about, it's you can kind of see in those weed out classes that a lot of people will call them, like along the pre-med track, it's the organic chemistry, it's biochemistry, those kind of classes. And so I've just tried to approach those with the same mindset as I have any other class, and just let let my my ethic and my study habits take care of itself, and it's worked for me, and I've been able to succeed in those courses along the way. And now the next barrier that I'm looking at is taking the MAT, which is the medical college admission test. And so I've been preparing for that. Unfortunately, it's gotten delayed 3 different times now because of the coronavirus. So I'm still waiting to be able to take it. But once I'm able to take that, and similar to my classes, I'm just trying to study as much as I can for it, and be efficient doing that. And so hopefully I can take it soon and get past that barrier away.
Nice. And have there ever been moments where you're like, why put myself through this? And but then like how do you regroup yourself when those things are happening?
Yeah, I've I truly haven't really felt overwhelmed along the way,
Mhm.
and I think because it's such a strong passion of mine, and because I'm so determined to achieve it, um, like I don't think I really have questioned it along the way. I think I know it's exactly what I want to do, and even if I'm in a tough class or I'm in a tough situation, like I know, like I can see that end goal in mind, and it'll help me persevere right through it. And then
Awesome.
yeah, and then I'd also say having baseball as a side gig with school um, is really nice. Just it provides such an opportunity just to decompress and like just have fun with guys and have fun playing the game. And so if you're ever going through something tough on that academic course load, you get a chance to breathe at baseball, which I think definitely helps.
Mm. Um, and that brings me to a story that I have. When I first got the job, I came on last year, February. The first day of me working was our very first game. Don't know anybody. Walk into the season, and I remember a game where it was a lightning delay, and we had probably had about two or I think we'd had two lightning delays where it had kind of kept extending the delay. And I'm walking through the clubhouse, I'm going through the locker room, and I look in the equipment or in the training room. I mean, there's guys playing ping pong, there's guys playing beanbag games in the locker room. It's kind of light. And I walk by the equipment room, and there's Andrew MacNeil with two books out, a notebook out, and the computer laying on the table, and you're grinding away in the middle of a game. It's a game that we're playing in, or that you were playing in, and here you are getting after it in with your classes. Where does that drive? I mean, that is insane drive. Where does that? What's going through your brain when you're like, okay, I'm gonna grab my stuff and go. This is a moment I can take care of some work.
Yeah, I think looking at that specific day, I knew that the forecast wasn't looking so good, and I do remember that. I had a pretty big biochem test coming up, and I knew I needed to study after the game, and I knew if the game went to 1 a.m. or whatever it was going to with rain delays, I was not going to get to. So I brought my stuff with me just in case that what happened did happen. And so I was like, all right, like I'm gonna have to study at some point tonight, so I might as well just take care of it now. But I think I would attribute it just to being able to focus. I think that's one of my um, probably best qualities is just being able to lock in on something, whatever it may be. I mean, there I'll be studying sometimes, and I kind of just get in this zone where like I might be with someone and they're saying my name and I almost can't even hear them because I just get like really locked in on the task. So I would say it's probably just my ability to focus.
And again, that's probably goes along with you've found something you're really passionate about and you really enjoy learning. So that's cool. And you can flip that switch, huh? Like the switch is on and off easy for you.
Yeah, I think it definitely is, and I think it kind of has to be because like I with baseball and having such a rigorous schedule with lifts and practices and games, especially in the spring. I mean, our time to do any, like, 'cause we're going to classes all day, then we go to baseball all afternoon, and so the time carved out for us during the day to get schoolwork done is it's set there at the end of the day, and so regardless of what's already gone on, like, you just gotta flip the switch and take care of business, and so I think over the years, I've been able to develop that ability to flip the switch, and it definitely helps.
Awesome. Well, okay, so now I want to take you back into time a little bit. What
Okay.
we're going to do here is we're going to go to, can you now see the screen?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so now we're going to go back and we're going to set the scene. This is a game that Stetson's down 3-2. They ended up winning 5-3. We're in the bottom of the ninth. Do you remember how many outs there were?
We're 2 outs.
2 outs, bottom of the ninth, two runners on,
Yeah. Yep.
and Andrew steps up to the plate. Let's watch this. All right, so let's go back into that. I mean, I'm watching you while you're watching that video. You are stone faced right there watching it. I mean, have you seen that before?
I have, it's a video that definitely gives me chills watching.
Oh man, I'll tell you, and that it gives me chills watching it also. Um, can you take us through going to the like in the you're in the on deck circle, kind of what are you thinking? Then you're moving up, you're in the at bat. Walk us through it, and then once you do that, walk us through the feelings once you hit home plate. I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah, so I was actually pinch hitting that at bat too. It was a cold night, and I'm trying to think. Um we had 2 outs, so there were a couple guys that had already gone to the plate, and Merck was like, "Hey, like, get it back, get loose, you're probably gonna pinch hit." And so, George goes up, and I'm in a pinch hit right behind him, so I'm on deck starting to get loose. I mean, it's cold, like, I'm trying to warm my hands up and try and start getting locked in, and, uh, they brought in their closer, and he walked George on 4 pitches, like, 4 high pitches, like, not even close, and I was like, "All right, like, I'm gonna get a chance to do this." And so, like, just go to the plate, and then he grooved a fastball the first pitch, and I just looked at it, and I'm thinking, "Oh, man, that's that's not good." And then, uh, he went, slider next, and he missed, so it was 1-1. He's already thrown a lot of balls, so I was gearing up for a fastball that I was just could put a good swing on, and then, I got that pitch, and, like, that was the fastest I felt like I've ever run the bases, and it like, for absolutely no reason, like, I'm feel like I'm right behind George, just running, trying to get to home, just pumped to spike my helmet and celebrate. I mean, it was one of the cool I tell people that all the time. That was probably the coolest baseball thing I've ever done, and it's gonna be hard to top it for sure.
Oh man, that is awesome. Just watching it, I got the feeling like of how you must have felt. Like just what an unbelievable experience to do something like that's everybody's dream, right? Every kid you grow up you think about that, you know?
Yeah, it's it's very surreal to think about.
Yeah, and now also talking about Andrew MacNeil on the baseball field, you are currently career record. You are 14 hit by pitches away from holding the Stetson baseball career record of being hit by a pitch. And this is a real interesting stat for me to think about. Do you have a specific mentality when you go up to the plate? A good, and I say it's interesting to me because a good friend of mine, we used to always have massive debates about getting hit by a pitch, and I would be like, "How? What do you mean? Like, how can you just not move out of the way of a pitch? You know, if your natural instinct is to move out of the way." And he would always come back at me. He's like, "You can teach yourself to just stay in there and wear it, and you know it's gonna suck. It's gonna hurt." But you can train yourself just to stay in there, and it's just about toughness and stuff and things like that. So this is a perfect opportunity for me to talk about it with you. And I know in the dugout, every time you get hit by a pitch, it's kind of like, oh, that's a surprise, you know. And Mac just got hit by another pitch. Um, so just talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I tell people that all the time. Like, I don't feel like I'm doing anything as far as standing close to the plate or anything like that. Like, I feel like I don't do anything different than what most do. But going back to what your friend said, I I really don't get out of the way of the pitch. Like, even if it's like a 3-1 count and I see the ball coming at me, it truly isn't my instinct to get out of the way. Like I could certainly get out of the way and it just be ball four, but I just feel like it's kind of ingrained in me just to turn and wear it, and just take my bag. I don't know. It's kind of just how it is. Like, I just sit there, see it, and I'm like, all right, like, here we go, gonna get hit again.
Oh man, you know, and it's just, well, and here's why we would go back and forth about it, because like he would always be like, you know, there could potentially come a time where your ability to just stay in there and wear it could potentially win the game for your team. You know, like if you're in, and this is, I've seen it multiple times where a guy has got the bases loaded and he jumps out of the way of a pitch, you know, or you got a runner on first base and they jump out of the way of a pitch. Um, and obviously, if it's something around your head or your ankles or whatever, there's probably the not like, I mean, your face, yes, get out of, I mean,
Yeah.
you don't want to get hit
No,
in the
yeah,
head,
no
right?
brainer.
That's a no brainer. But like, when you have like something, just that little thing could have a massive impact on a game. Like that's, you know, he kind of started to make me think like, man, this actually, he's right about these things, you know, that you could train yourself to just wear a pitch, and you could train, and it could be a massive benefit later on in the game, just like you could train yourself to stay down on a ground ball or whatever it
Mhm.
is.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, you mentioned some potential scenarios that it could really come into play, and I think another one is you guys are struggling offensively, and then all of a sudden your leadoff guy comes to the plate in the ninth inning, and you just need 1 or 2 runs. And I mean, all it takes is for him to just get skimmed by the ball, and he's on first, and then all of a sudden there's a little bit of life that comes into the dugout. It's, oh man, we got a guy on first, but then if he jumps out of the way or scoots back and just lets it go inside, um, then you're like, man, like we could really use a guy on first base. So I think
Mm.
it can also just kind of get the ball rolling there and start to fire up the offense if you're struggling to get guys on.
Yeah, awesome. Well, hey, I'm gonna be rooting for you to get to hold the career record of hit by pitch. Even though you might be working for it, might not be working for it. I mean, I don't. I mean,
That,
this
that'd
is
be
gonna
a
go to
cool stat
work
to
for.
hold.
Uh-huh.
That'd be a pretty cool stat to hold. And
Yeah, man.
luckily,
That's
I've got
hey.
a fifth year to try and do it.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, how has this changed with the addition of the year for you? How has this changed your academic scenario, or has it been a benefit that is good for you? Because I know you want to come back, you want to finish business. Like you don't want to end things the way that they just were mandated for us to have it end. And I know you love Stetson baseball and you love Stetson at a real high level. You can just feel it. So what does it mean to you to have this fifth year, and how does that kind of play into your plan?
Yeah, I mean, obviously a bummer to have it taken away from us this spring, but I think looking back on it, it's a blessing in disguise for me personally. I mean, I don't plan on starting medical school until the fall of 21, just because I was already going to take a gap year anyway. And so now I didn't have anything lined up yet. So now I get to play baseball for another year, and I'm actually going to be doing the MBA program. So I'll hopefully learn some skills in the business world, and it could help me later on in life. Um, but but like you said, I mean, I'm not ready to hang up the cleats yet, and like I love this team. I hope everybody returns, because like I want to play with all these guys again, and have a chance to do something special, which I really thought we were going to do this year.
And something that I didn't even have down on here, or mention yet. You're one of the 6 captains for the 2020 club. Um, what does that mean to you to be a captain?
Right. I've always wanted to be in those leadership roles. I feel like that's probably one of my number one things, is I want to have a really good influence on other people, and I want to give off those qualities that other people want to be around. And um, whether I've got the C on my chest being named a captain or not, I'm still going to act the same way. But it's nice to be recognized as a captain, and be able to lead our team, and just really help the guys whenever they need some guidance.
Awesome. Um, and having a guy like you, obviously you set a great example through your actions and how you do things. And hey, every guy that we've talked to about captainship, and every book you read about being a captain, it talks about leading through example. um, do you see any other things that come from great captains?
Yeah, I think when people are talking about being a strong leader and being a strong captain in sports, I mean, you see lead by example and lead with your voice. And as a leader, I think I've grown a lot at Stetson over my 4 years, in learning how to use my voice and be more comfortable using my voice effectively. And I mean, George. I mean, he loves to yell and loves to talk, and I mean, and he's a great leader because of it. That's one of his best leadership qualities, is his ability to. I mean, he obviously leads by example, but he's able to use his voice very effectively, and I feel like I've gotten a lot more comfortable doing that. And um, I feel like I'm one of those guys that I'm not going to always be speaking up super loudly, and so the moment I do say something, I think it can resonate with people, and they'll be like, all right, he's spoken. He
Hmm.
means what he's saying.
Absolutely. All right. So, hey, man, that's been an awesome opportunity to sit down and talk to you and just kind of get a glimpse into the world of Andrew MacNeil. And that's going to bring us to our closing segment that I like to call Three Strikes. And in Three
All
Strikes,
right.
I'm going to ask you questions, okay? And I want you to think Stetson baseball players. Um, and one you can only give one person. I've been getting multiple people on these as we ask three strikes, but whatever comes to your mind, think about the locker room right now. um Stetson baseball, three strikes, here we go. Most
Do it.
accident prone on the team.
Most accident prone. Oh, Zim Schwab.
All right. All right. um Best cook on the team. Who's got those culinary skills?
Yeah. Um. Hmm. I'm gonna go with George
Georgie.
Arenas.
Do you know what his specialty? Does he got a specialty? What's he throwing out there?
I mean, he'll throw some steak out there, some pasta with. I mean, the tomato slices and mozzarella, the balsamic glaze. I mean, he's
Okay.
living lavishly. I'll say that.
Most athletic pitcher.
Hmm. Uh, Perret.
Daniel Perret. Well, there you have it. That's three strikes with Stetson baseball and Andrew MacNeil. Andrew, again, thank you so much for your time. This has been a blast. I know everybody's going to love the opportunity to kind of get a little little behind the scenes look into you. I hope you're doing well and just, staying healthy, uh, doing the online class thing, and cannot wait to see you again soon.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. It's been a lot of fun and looking forward to being back on campus with you.